Okay, everything's recording, right? Okay. Hey, everybody, and welcome to a super... Oh, God. Hey, everybody, welcome to a very exciting Tales Channel video. We are going to do our non-spoiler discussion in the studio with many Sonic fans and content creators. So you're going to get a really great scope of how this movie is being received. Keep in mind, though, we all had a very great time together. So we had a very exciting trip. We saw it together. So just keep that in mind. There might be a little bit of bias here and there because we're really enjoying each other's company. However, we are going to do our very best to give you the most detailed analysis of the movie. We're going to follow up on it on Sam's channel later on with a spoiler discussion. So definitely check that out on Sam Procrastinates channel. And let's get right into the part where I introduce everybody that I have with me. It's a big group this time. Hey, everybody. So I'll do the thing where I introduce every single person. We didn't talk about this before, but I'm going to do it anyway. We have Sam Procrastinates. Thank you so much for being here. We have Mighty Sen.
Hi.
We've got Gerbil64. We've got Gerbil64. We've got Jovial Knights.
Hey.
We've got in the back, we got Patrick or Corey Maru, right?
Hello. Hello, everybody.
And we've got Wallace Prower in the back there. Oh, God, he needs a mic.
Maybe both of them. What's popping my pimples?
Oh, God. In stereo.
Here we
And
go.
last but certainly not least, we have two-mic'd Cybrid.
Hi.
All right, so now that the intro is out of the way, we can finally get into the fun part. So I just want to quickly explain what we decided to do. We're all going to ask each other a question framed in the way as if you are somebody, the viewer is somebody who has not seen the movie yet. So if you're curious about seeing the movie and you're on the fence, we're hoping to address those type of questions for you with no spoilers at all, just so we can give you our thoughts. So I start, and I have Wallace in the back there to ask my question to. And my question is, what were you hoping to get out of the film?
A lot of sexy Knuckles, but that didn't work out. So,
Oh, it didn't? You don't think he was sexy?
I think maybe he was a little sexy. That's all I'm saying. I think going into the movie, I was hoping to get a lot of fun dynamics between the cast. I was hoping to get some Agent Stone because he's my boy. I think just overall a better movie than the first one. And I believe that we got all of that and more.
Sweet. I absolutely agree. All right, so now we're moving on to the very next question, and I don't believe... Oh, wait a minute. Who was number 2 again?
Me.
Oh, Cybrid. All right, well, take it away. Go ahead and ask your question.
Microphone.
Yeah, oh, yeah, you might need that.
Why? Why would you need it?
Evan, my question for you is, how do you think the dynamic between the characters went, in general?
Right.
How do you think the dynamic is between, Sonic, Tails, and Eggman, and Knuckles?
Sweet. All right. I didn't realize this question was for me, but it's totally fine. I can answer it. I got this. All right. So I got to say, the dynamics between all the characters, I mean, oh, man, I already said bias, but, these are the characters that I love. Sonic and Tails and Knuckles are some of my favorite characters in the whole series. And I would say that each individual character had the exact balance that they needed, right? There's a little bit of dark undertones to each of their stories, right? Sonic is super confident, but he also has that dark undertone of, loneliness. And that's a nice balance. I feel like the game Sonic doesn't have that darkness behind it or the sadness, which gives it the heart that all the directors are talking about, right? You need that light and dark to make it feel real so you can connect with these characters, because nobody is a character that always knows what to do, yay! And that's the same thing that applies to Eggman or Robotnik and Knuckles and Tails, right? However, I will say that some people will feel like because this movie is jam-packed with stuff, they couldn't go that deep into the dark elements of all the characters. So some fans of each individual character, if they're diehard fans that were hoping for a lot from this movie for one specific character, may be a little disappointed, but every character it hits the right notes for what I consider the characters to be at their core, and that applies to all of them. And together, their dynamics, I would say, they bounce off of each other really well because they have a common thread that connects them and that they can relate to. So when they do connect and they share those moments in really what I consider very meaningful ways, A lot of crying, but I'm also a sap. So because it's set up properly, when the characters do have their exchanges back and forth, it's so hard to avoid spoilers. But I feel like it's really earned and it feels genuine and natural, especially considering these are like crazy characters that are cartoons. It's crazy to me that they pulled it off so well. All right, who was number 3? I think it was Jovi, right?
I am. So my question's to Sen. People are always curious about how Tails is portrayed in the games, and you know that buddy relationship. How was he in this movie?
I would say it was pretty similar. Obviously, there is a bit of difference because of like the sort of story in the world that they live in. It is a different universe. But I think overall, like Tails was captured very well in his personality. Trying to think, what do I say? That isn't too spoilery. I mean, like, the dynamic between like him and Sonic is very great. It's very cute. It's very nice. And he is a very good sidekick, just like he is in the games. It is like a little bit different, but I think it's in a good way. And I think that if you're a Tails fan, that you will really like this movie. I think that he is just really great in this movie, and just really adorable. Really adorable.
Tails fans eating good.
Tails fans eating real good in this movie.
Let's go.
I guess I'll just really quick.
You can jump in, yeah.
Add on to that is, besides Tails, like you mentioned, like small changes to the character.
Right.
But I will say every change it made to the characters in this movie are very much welcomed.
Oh, absolutely.
And none of it feels out of place.
No.
It feels very believable. And I like the changes made, the slight changes made to certain characters in the movie, and I feel like you guys will find it quite enjoyable.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. Okay, does anyone else want to chime in about that? No? All right, sweet. So I think it was...
That was so quick.
All right, so I thought they would like cut me off.
Well, I mean, there is other questions to get to. It's probably
Right.
It's all good. I mean, did you want to chime in, Wallace?
Yeah.
Sounds like you want to say something, huh? Go ahead.
Tails is cute.
So cute.
All right.
Oh, there's a scene that I wish we're gonna detail later. But man, like I said, like I know the pacing thing. I wanted to address it because I do think that like out of the crazy reviews we're getting, that's one thing I understand. But I don't know if I'll get a chance to say this, so I might as well squeeze it in while I can before we move on to the next question. I just feel like it's a fast-paced movie, which I said this in a tweet, but there's just a lot. It's clear they have a lot of ideas.
Right.
But when it comes to when I have an issue with pacing, it's when a movie starts a rhythm that's really slow and then it randomly gets fast and it feels like story beats are being rushed through because they don't want to sit on them. But with Tails in particular, to plug it back in, yes, like there is a little bit of like, because they're trying to have Knuckles and Tails introduced at the same time, I could see where you could go either way. You could be like, I wish there was more Tails because I really enjoyed him. But Knuckles is so great too, so it's like I don't exactly know how they would have done it better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
And-
actually
yeah.
think I didn't have an issue with pacing. I usually pick up on pacing a lot of the time in movies because I don't know, they just a lot of the time it can be a little messy. But I didn't really have an issue with any of the pacing in the film. Like, sure, maybe the start, maybe like before things start really get going, could be a little slow. But past that, everything was pretty consistent, I'd say.
Oh, absolutely consistent. Yeah, it's just really fast. Like there's just stuff that like
It's a Sonic movie.
It's a Sonic movie.
They could have taken half of those ideas. Yeah, it's definitely a Sonic movie. I agree with that. But they
Bro, I walked in, I wanted to see Chris Pratt as Mario. How Ben Schwartz as Sonic.
Why would anyone want to see that?
oh god. Well, I don't know if we're doing a discussion on that one.
Full disclosure, I love Mario, but not Chris Pratt as Mario.
All right, we'll probably continue to interject as the other questions go on. So why don't we just keep moving? Sen, you ready?
Yep. So,
Sweet.
on the same vein as Tails, let's talk about Knuckles. So, how was Knuckles portrayed in the movie? Was he faithful to the games, or was he different?
It's interesting about Knuckles because in the games, I think lately we've come to see him as being really stupid for the comedic factor of it. He's just comic relief, and people are smacking him around like in Lost World or Forces where he doesn't do a very good job leading the resistance. I'm sure we all know.
Yeah. Operation
but
Big Wave.
what I like to see this as, it's almost like a return to form because in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, when he's introduced, he's sort of this intimidating, mysterious character that, through no dialogue is expressed really well as being a threat and also being someone who might be being tricked and doing the wrong thing. Yeah. So in this movie, we kind of see that return to form where he is aligned with Eggman, as you've seen from the trailers. Everyone knows the Sonic meet Knuckles, like that really weird Jim Carrey. But that's what I really liked about this, because not only is this more of like the tough and cool Knuckles that we've seen before, he's also got some of the new Knuckles mixed in, because he is still a little dim-witted. Yeah. But it's lovable. It's not like I'm an idiot and you laugh at me. It's like I'm an idiot and then you kind of like smile and pat me on the shoulder.
It's endearing.
It's endearing.
He's from a different world.
He's a very endearing character, and honestly, people told me before the movie before I saw the movie, that he would be my favorite character. I would love him more than anyone else in the movie, and that is accurate.
It's kind of funny.
He's my favorite.
Now
It's
that I
just
think
built
about
different.
it, the way I think about it is like he is the fish out of water, but he's the very thing people were afraid Sonic was going to be in the first movie, but he's actually that in the second movie. Because, usually Sonic is accustomed to Earth.
Yeah.
But Knuckles isn't. So we actually get to see what it's like for them to experience, like what is this? What is that? How does this work?
It's pretty cool. It's almost like as if Sonic had come to Earth. If he had immediately just joined society, he would be like how Knuckles is now. Except Knuckles is really like strong and brutish. So it's like it's interesting to see how he just destroys society.
The best way I would just describe it is like Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Except cute.
Yeah.
Except cute, yeah. What do you mean? Drax isn't cute? What do you mean?
No, I can't
Talk about that.
It's not that he's not a good character. It's just it feels. I want to give him a hug. I don't want to give Drax a hug, but he's a good friend.
Speak for yourself, okay?
You want to give Drax a hug? It's fine. I'm not judging you. I'm
Probably give good hugs.
I'm just saying. Knuckles is like, I don't know, it's cute. That's the quality I want to use to describe him. And Drax, he has the same qualities as Drax plus cute.
I think Sen put it a good way. It's endearing.
Endearing,
Very, very endearing.
Stick to what I'm good at.
So Patrick, so we all love Jim Robotnik Carrey, and he was great in the first movie. But my question is, some people might have wanted him to be more game-like in the first movie. How do you think he compares to the first movie, Eggman Robotnik, and how do you think he compares to the game? Do you think this is a good adaptation?
I would say yes. Jim Carrey, he's like a funny actor in general and stuff. Like we all know him from The Mask and Bruce Almighty, Liar Liar. That's my favorite movie, by the way. I think he is he's still a jokester and stuff, but he can be like a little sinister at times and stuff. I'm like in the games and stuff pretty much, but I think he is a little bit more sinister than Eggman in the video games. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Yeah, definitely.
I think he's a really good balance this time around.
Yeah, definitely.
There was so many times when Jim is Jim is the part that makes you want to watch the movie like 4 times. But I don't know. I'm still undecided if that's a good thing, because he'll say stuff and I know it's a play on words. Like I know it's like funny, but I don't get it yet. Sometimes I have to like look up the words. Like for example, like reconnaissance. I didn't know what that was in the first movie, so I had to like figure that out.
That was a good one.
He's also like mashing words together, and sometimes I'm like, pardon? Like what did you say? I don't always get it. That might be just me.
He would beat our asses in a rap battle.
Absolutely, yeah, basically.
I kind of like that aspect of him, because his whole thing is like, I'm the smartest guy in the room all the time. So it's almost like
it fits.
we can't really relate to him or catch everything he's saying all the time because of that. Like
It all
he's like
fits.
so higher up compared to everybody else.
That's a very, very good point. I would not say at all. I came out of that theater like absolutely satisfied, and I'm a Jim Carrey fan and a Sonic fan completely separately. But again, like I wouldn't be surprised if somebody who, for whatever reason, decides to not see the movie a second time, they'll be like, I didn't really understand what Jim Carrey was saying, and then they just like never watch it again. But if you look into it, like I guarantee you, like there's something to it. It's just sometimes Jim Carrey's like on another plane of existence than the rest of us. So it's worth a second look, is what I'm saying, for sure. All right. Besides the fact that I can't count, who's next?
Me. So Sam, I know that when it comes to the Sonic series, there's a lot of things that you love, but I know the biggest draw to the series for you are the humans. So I want to know, right? When it comes to the humans' roles in the movie, a lot of our main human characters. Don't ask me their names, please. I'm awful with them.
You got it.
How big of a role do they play in the movie, and how much time does that tend to take away from our little favorite little creatures and our little favorite Jim Carrey?
Ooh, you gave me the fun question. So I think regarding the human characters in this movie, and this is going to be the part that you've probably heard the most about regarding reviewers, the thing that the caveat of the movie. There's always one. So I believe this movie regarding characters regarding Jim Carrey, obviously loved his performance. But outside of that, I think Tom and Maddie near the later half of the movie did a great job. I think it's believable. I believe.
I'm waiting for it. I'm like,
yeah,
but
I'm getting the positives out of the way now.
Oh God.
I do believe they did not write in the human characters as tightly as the first movie, and I don't want to get into specifics, but I think based off the trailers, you can tell they're at a wedding. And I feel like it's almost like there's two separate movies going on.
Like a B plot kind of thing.
Yeah, but it doesn't, and I got to preface this, though, because I got to stress this. I feel like that doesn't take away my enjoyment from the movie that much. Like, it really doesn't. I think this movie more than makes up for it. And it shouldn't deter anyone from going to see it. But to answer your question, I do think they didn't handle the human characters as well as the first movie. And, I mean, in the first movie, it was just Tom and Maddie and the aunt.
Yeah.
In this one, there's a whole different side of characters. I think it's so hard to talk about this without going into spoilers.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
It's bubbling at the surface.
But
Go to the next part.
But I will say there is a side of human characters that get incorporated into the story, and I feel like those work for Sonic the Hedgehog, and we're used to them. But regarding the wedding itself and the setting and jumping between the action and the wedding, I feel like it didn't mend as well as I think the writers had hoped. But again, I feel like the movie more than makes up for it.
But we all gotta know, how's our boy Agent Stone in this film?
Hey, honestly, I think he's great. So outside of the wedding, so thank you actually for bringing that up. Outside the wedding, I think characters like Agent Stone, Wade, especially Wade, I think, and again, like Jim Carrey, I feel like the main human characters, and Tom and Maddie, the main human characters that are close to, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, like the main cast, I feel like they do a great job. And I really do enjoy seeing them on screen and interacting with the characters, which is not something I thought I'd be saying 2 years later. Because if you guys remember originally, I was very skeptical of the whole live action having humans involved in things.
A lot of people were, I think.
But I do enjoy the chemistry the main characters have with the main humans. I think it works. It's just everything else, I think, is really hard to manage when you have such a big human cast. You're like, where are you going to put them? There, at a group, a wedding. Cut to that for 20 minutes.
Yep, Sam, to add to that, you said it feels like two movies in one. It kind of reminds me of a Medea movie, pretty much.
Yes, that's actually a great way to bring it up.
Yeah.
We should move on to the next one, right?
Okay, my question to the lovely jovial knights: are there any fan service in the film that fans will enjoy, and why?
Oh yeah, I think that even as someone that played a lot of the classic games, I always feel like when I'm looking at like a video game movie in general, I'm like, okay, where am I gonna get, or what am I gonna get out of this? Like, is it gonna feel like just a kid's film, or is it gonna feel like something that kind of has that new spice that I've been waiting for in the game? Something that like adds more. I mean, this is cinema. This is the movies. You can do literally anything. You don't have to worry about the gameplay at all in this matter. Like, you don't have to worry about doing cutscenes. Like, you can have it string together. And I think in terms of like Easter eggs, you'll just like, after the movie, I know that we were all like just kind of looking at each other like, do you remember that scene? Yeah, do you remember that? Like, we were just like railing off as many as we could just in the matter of after the film. But I think a lot of the fans are going to enjoy how much they, put in and how much dedication. I mean, I feel like Tyson really brought an aspect of the fandom into this film, into like everything. There's one part where I'm like, I bet that was heavily Tyson. Like that I sat through. I was like, yeah, I think that was him.
You know that Tyson actually storyboarded. The only scene that he storyboarded and had anything to do with was the turtle scene, and that was my favorite scene.
Of the first movie?
The first movie, yeah, and I love that scene so much. And you can tell because it's like, not only is it funny, but it's like, oh, it's Sonic saving a little creature. Like it feels like funny, but rooted in the source material in like such a deep way that like could not be a coincidence. Like it's just, it was so great. It was so fun. All right, where are we at now? Who we got?
I think we have one last.
One last question.
I think that might be
then
Sam.
That will be me. So this question is going to be directed at Cybrid, but I would like to also completely generalize it to the entire group to kind of finish us out here.
Sure.
Because it's a very general question, and because someone has to ask it. So the question is, Cybrid, is the second movie better than the first, and why? Very general.
Could probably answer all at the same time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That would be, yeah.
Absolutely. It is way better than the first movie. I would say they knocked everything out of the park. They definitely expand a lot more on the Sonic element of the series, right?
Oh yeah.
They there's so many. How do I describe it? There's just so much going on in this film from a Sonic perspective, and I think fans and even just casual people are going to enjoy this movie. Like whether you get all the Easter eggs or the references and all that,
It's one of those like good for the whole family things.
Yeah.
I think everybody, any person of any age could really enjoy this. And even if you're like maybe even not a fan of Sonic, I think you could find a lot of enjoyment in it.
Because the stuff that it pulls from the Sonic series is like, it may be the stuff that we love and we've been waiting to see on camera for so long, but it's like that light and darkness I was talking about. It's just like, it's just characters that are whole and like relatable.
Yeah.
And like it's a story about family. It's a story about friendship, feeling isolated and weird and different. Like it hits themes that resonate more than beyond more than just Sonic fandom. It can be very easy as an outsider of the community to feel like, oh, this is not for me, because there's all those set pieces and iconic set pieces from Sonic. But the reality is Sonic is very simple. And it may seem like he's super complicated on the outside because of all the different iterations, but it's very simple themes, right? And it really isn't as weird as it may seem. Like once you get over the fact that it's an animal with superpowers, that's about it. Like that's about as weird as it gets. It's not any different than all the other weird stuff people watch in anime or other cartoons or other.
If you were a fan
superhero
of
movies.
Crypto the Super Dog, you got to give this a chance. But like that was, I really like the idea of like all the characters you said. Like one of the most important things to me in a story is that the characters aren't awful.
Yeah.
And in the games,
oh God.
they're awful.
Cancel.
I agree.
So like, because in the games, I don't believe that any of them are actually friends or that they're a group or anything. They just feel like this is the funny one, this is the stupid
They're
one,
very
this
static.
is the girl one.
They're not
Yeah.
very dynamic.
And then in this movie, you have characters, like you said, that are whole. These characters are believable, and I think they're really fun to watch. Like, just explore their relationships, and it even starts feeling like, when you look at the video game characters, you kind of go like, I wonder why all of these aspects that are really nice and that people can enjoy aren't present anymore, because of the bad writing.
Maybe it was a good thing that they hit the dislike button on YouTube.
Wow.
You can't tell me I'm wrong, because I'm right.
So would you say that the characters in the first film are static then compared to the second one? Or more static? Because we get to see it showcased more because we're getting more characters introduced and Robotnik looks more like his traditional self.
That's an interesting question. I think Sonic had a little bit of an arc, but it was mostly about like him coming out of the shadows, really. Like, I don't know if he had too much of a personality change in the first one. And in the second one, they definitely explore the character more.
And you prefer that?
I like that, yeah.
You enjoyed
'cause
that more as a result?
I think a static character works best when you have something like One Piece where there's like 800,000 episodes. Because at that point, it's like, I don't need to see Luffy develop anymore. Like, I know who Luffy is. I would rather them focus on the characters in the arc, you know? So with Sonic doing this thing now, and Knuckles and Tails coming in and also being explored, and Robotnik being explored, and Tom and Maddie also having some stuff going on, like, everyone just has a nice little bit of character growth, and it's very, very nice to watch.
The games refuse to give us some sort of like origin for the characters. And you just said something really interesting, right? Like if in One Piece, right, characters that are static work for a long run of a story. And I think as much as I agree with you with the actual game interpretations of their characters, do you think, or does anybody think, that the reason that they're static is maybe because they're trying to leave that open so they can continuously make games over and over and over again, right? I think that's what happens is, like, because even when people were talking about the great things about Knuckles, I was thinking, I'm like, what happens when Knuckles is familiar about Earth, right? Does that wear off? He's not naive anymore, right? He knows about Earth. So is he? How are they going to make him funny still, right? Because it was endearing because he wasn't from Earth. And we were introducing him to Earth. He didn't have friends, so we could immediately connect to that specific story. But what do you do with Knuckles in the future? Moving on,
You
right?
make him one about dad jokes.
Will
That
he-
becomes his new bit.
Will he become static? Will he become static? He could. It's very possible. Like, this movie is good and definitely better than the first one, to plug that back in. But
I actually have a really good example for that.
then, I know. I think I saw Jovi wanted to say something.
I was just saying, compared to the games, I think that honestly, the games characterizations, they jump all around. Like, there's not a consistency that I feel solid with. I'm like, okay, you have like variations of Knuckles and variations of Tails, and like people will be like, well, I like Adventure Tails, or I like when Tails is, classic when he's just a kid, just tagging along with Sonic. Like, there's not been one solid personality, so I'm kind of curious to see just in a movie format like how the consistency grows. So maybe we'll finally see it, because the games definitely, I feel like it's jumping every game. Like, I don't know, if Knuckles is in Frontiers, how he would act compared to Forces. That's just how.
I mean, think about how much Knuckles changed between Boom to Forces. I know Boom was considered like a spinoff, but like he went from being dumb to being the leader.
And he was still dumb.
Bruh.
Yeah, that was not believable. Again, like, I don't know what's going on.
But anyways, I don't want us to get like too sidetracked, 'cause I know we could talk about this forever.
Yeah, we're plugging it back into, is the first
Right.
movie or the second movie better than the first?
Yeah, what I want to say out there is the answer is obviously yes.
Anybody
go see
disagree?
No.
it. Yeah, no, I think it's like a resounding yes. Don't listen to the critics; they're very stupid.
It's got a
But listen to
98%.
us.
Yeah, you can tell.
98%
Last I
was-
saw it was like 99 audience and like 68 like critic.
65.
65.
Okay.
But, like, the difference between audience and critic is so vast, but we could tell, based on what critics are saying, they're complaining that there wasn't enough humans, and it's like, bruh. So like, just definitely go see this. Definitely support this movie, because I think it is imperative as Sonic fans that we get this.
It's definitely for fans, right? We need to support this because we were very heard. We walked out of the theater feeling very heard as fans. And this movie has a consistent theme of doing that, right? The redesign first, and just all the like references and how accurate it is to the source material, how much animation they put in this movie, how much focus they put into the actual game characters as opposed to the human characters, which is typically what happens with movies like this. It's all about like humans, and the like character you go there to see is like barely there. They are not tone deaf at all about what the fans want, and so support it just to cast your vote for more of that.
Oh,
right?
if I could add on to Garros's point real quick.
Yeah.
I definitely think, and he actually said this a little earlier today, I think, when we were sitting down, but I think that this is also a really good return to form, like adding on to your point, because, and talking specifically to the fans, because I know that, yeah, you said like the writing isn't as good, or maybe it's not exactly what fans expect from the games. I think that fans are going to enjoy this one just because it gives all the characters like a fresh start. And it just adds more, this movie adds more to all of their personalities. They're all very great individually and together. So yeah, I would definitely say here that personally, I think that this version of Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails, I think they're my favorite interpretation of them easily. Just
Oh,
because
yeah.
they nail every aspect of each of them. So it's, yeah, absolutely.
I absolutely agree. All right. Just because that question was open ended, as Sam said, does anyone else have anything to say about like movie 1 versus 2? I think we all just like it better.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had something. Go ahead.
Honestly, it's, the way I could just describe it is like it's like Sonic 2 did to Sonic 1, the video games. It took what worked, expanded on it.
Here comes the comments.
Yeah.
No, actually, Sonic 1 is better. Because the difficulty is better.
I'm looking at you, Frank.
Oh God!
Don't call out my boy like that. But I wanted to mention what we talked about because I had mentioned when walking out of the theater, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna watch this first movie again because the second movie was so good. But you brought up a really good point that I hadn't thought of. There were a lot of like callbacks to the first movie that are now more endearing because you've seen the first movie. So I think I was a little wrong on that. I think
primer.
they work as a duo.
Yeah, they really do. You might not like the first movie as much,
But the second one is like,
it's following up on ideas. That's what a sequel is supposed to do, right? There are scenes where it's like you only understand their impact unless you've seen the first one. So I mean, you may want to skip the first one, but you are going to miss out on certain story beats if you skip it. So.
Oh, yeah, I think they also mentioned in an interview, too, while the first one was out, that they said for the first one, they originally wanted to do Tails and Knuckles and all that stuff, but I guess the budget or
in
something.
the first one, oh my gosh, I can only imagine.
The budget wasn't allowing them to do all that just yet, so that's why they focused more on, you know.
I mean, I think it worked out for the best in that way
I
because
think the first one like lays the foundation. You have to like know who Sonic is, and like once you get a sense of his character, then you add his friends in, and I think they just did it very well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, I think.
Sonic 4.
Speak now or forever hold your peace. Oh God.
Cut the mic.
I'll go. I'll leave.
All right, so I think we're about ready. It's bubbling at the surface, like I said. We want to get into the spoilers. We want to talk about the specific stuff. So if you're as excited as we are to talk about that stuff, be sure to check out the second part of this, where we're in the same setup. It's a little less organized, more podcast, conversational styled. It's going to be on Sam's channel, and him and I are going to switch spots. So check that out. It may not be out if you watch this right when it uploaded, but if not, it's coming soon, and it'll be there shortly. So you're going to have to eagerly await it.
And make sure to yell at Sam on twitter.com if he hasn't released it on time.
Yeah.
It would be awkward if my video ends up coming out first before theirs.
True. Okay, so you can take your time. That's fine.
No, I'm going to start editing right after this. Here I go.
All right. Thank you all for being on also and coming out to hang out with me. It's been an awesome trip. And yeah, thanks so much for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, well, we'll see you guys on Sam's channel. Peace.
Bye.